When you 3D print, you can make custom parts to suit your exact needs. So today we go step by step through the design of how to make these custom vacuum cleaner heads. I think most workshops, makerspaces or studios rely on a shop vac to keep them nice and tidy. And I think there's a fair chance that most of us have some specific areas that need cleaning where current vacuum attachments don't fit, so why not design our own custom nozzles to suit? This video will be added to my Onshape CAD playlist, linked below in the description. However, most of the modeling is pretty simple, so what you see here will likely apply to other CAD packages. We need to start by examining our vacuum cleaner, and your mileage may vary, but my one has this piece of aluminium pipe that's used as an adapter between the hose and all of the heads or nozzles. Whatever custom nozzles that I design need to match this dimensionally or they just won't fit. So our very first step is to get a set of calipers or a ruler if you're desperate and get an external measurement. And my outer diameter is 35mm. Before we hit CAD, I have decided on my material being TPU for all of these vacuum cleaner nozzles. That's because the squish is more forgiving in terms of fitment, and TPU should be less likely to mark surfaces compared to a hard plastic. With that determined, let's head over to CAD. So our first task is a very simple print to make sure that our size matches. So for this, a simple extrusion, we'll start a sketch on the top, P for plane to hide them so it's a little less cluttered, and then N for normal to spin the camera. All we need here is two concentric circles, so I'm going to sketch them quickly. Press D for dimension, and dimension now in a hole at 35mm to match our pipe. Now typically the inside of holes when you 3D print is a little bit undersized, but since we're going to print in TPU, we're going to use this to our advantage and let the flex of the TPU give us a nice snug tight fit. As for this outer circle, rather than giving it an absolute dimension, I'm instead going to dimension the wall thickness by clicking on both circles. Now typically in the slicer, a wall thickness is around 0.4 of a millimeter. And our aim here is to have enough wall loops that when we slice our object, they're solid and there's no infill in between the inner and outer. So why not set the thickness of these walls to be a multiple of 0.4. So I'm going to make this 2.8. That's perhaps a little bit chunky. 2 or 2.4 also works quite well. We can close this sketch and then hit the extrude button, selecting only the outer portion, and something like 20-25mm will be perfect for this. This one is ready to be exported and printed in TPU for a test fit. As we hoped, the flex of the TPU creates a snug fit over the 35mm pipe. It's not coming off unless we want it to, so we can proceed from here. Let's design some nozzles, starting with a common shape. We'll start by recreating this really generic nozzle shape that can get lost or just wear out over time, and it's pretty easy to model. We only need regular extrusions, and I think the key to make it simpler is to model it all solid and then hollow it at the end. So we'll start a sketch on the top plane, hide the planes with P, and then press N to spin the camera. And like last time, we'll start by drawing a circle and set the diameter to 35mm. But then we're going to click and press the Q button, which is the same as this construction tool up the top. Construction geometry can't be extruded, and the reason we're doing this is because we don't want the actual hole in the middle. Remember, we're modeling this solid at the start. We can now draw the second circle, pressing Q to toggle off construction, and once again dimension a wall thickness of 2.8mm. Your value can be different, just remember it for later. We're going to close the sketch and extrude this. You can do this to your taste, but the one that I'm working with seems to be around 220mm long. We'll select the inside of our circle and then hit the tick to complete the extrusion. Now we're going to come and draw another sketch, this time on the front plane. We'll again press N to spin the camera, and we're going to start by doing a construction line, pressing Q to toggle that down the very middle, as we're going to be doing a mirror to keep this tidy. I'm going to use a coincident constraint to lock this to the top surface, and already our sketch is almost done. We need a line that's close to vertical coming down from that top surface. The exact position doesn't matter for now. And then A for arc, and we'll have an arc that curves outwards away from the center line. You can see Onshape is prompting us to make this a tangent, so we'll click when that icon shows up. From here, we're going to draw two straight lines just to close off this shape. If we hover over existing geometry, it'll help us snap. And then finally, we're going to come up and use the mirror tool. Our first click is on our mirror line, and then we simply click the other lines that we want to copy over to the other side. Now when I add my dimension here, I need to remember that this is for the outer surface. I need to account for the wall thickness and pick a dimension that will still leave enough of an opening. It's a good habit, although not essential, to fully constrain your sketches, so I'm just going to add dimensions to everything until it turns black. I'm just doing this by eye, so the exact dimensions aren't really that critical. Once all of the geometry is turned black, everything is fully constrained and we can finish with this sketch. Let's close the sketch and then come to extrude. Select our two sides. We want to do a cut, so we'll set it to remove. We want to cut through everything and we're going to do it symmetrically. Now if we spin the camera, we can see we have most of our nozzle shape in place. Now the tip of this is actually on an angle, so we're going to do much the same thing. Starting a sketch, but this time placing it on the right side. This sketch will start with an arc. Again, I'm just doing this by eye and putting it near the top as that's where I want to cut. I'll then add some simple lines to close out the shape and make it enclosed. And let's lock it on top of the model by adding a coincident constraint between our top line and any corner on top of the 3D model. We'll finish off with a construction center line and then adding dimensions, rounding to the nearest number until everything is fully constrained and black. We're going to extrude just like we did last time, selecting our profile, going through all and symmetrical. And now comes the final and most important step, using the shell tool. I need to enter my shell thickness, which for me was 2.8 millimeters, and then we click on two surfaces as our input, the top and the bottom of the nozzle, and that will make it hollow with the air able to travel from one side through to the other. Each time you make one of these, before you hit print, it makes sense to select the inner edge and check the dimension given in the lower right hand corner to see if it matches your target. Let's try out our printed TPU version. And because we did that test fit, we know it's going to fit perfectly. It's got that little bit of squish to make it more forgiving for whatever we're vacuuming. And if we turn on the vacuum, it works as we would expect. We're off to a good start, but now we can get a lot more adventurous. I'm sure I'm not the only one with some sort of heavy machine that has a small gap underneath that needs occasional vacuuming and the standard nozzle is too thick to fit. So let's design a custom solution, and obviously we'll need a measurement for what type of gap we need to fit within. Let's quickly fast forward to the end and we can see that the input and output shape are quite different from each other, and that junction in between is best achieved with a loft. I still started this shape with a sketch on top, dimensioning my inner 35mm construction line with a second circle where I dimensioned wall thickness. But from here, I used a series of planes to map out the shape. So that means clicking on the plane tool, clicking on the top plane as a reference surface, and then setting the distance between the two shapes that I want the junction between. The exact dimension doesn't really matter, and we can change it later if we need to. After mapping out the base, I extended another plane and then drew my alternate shape, which ends up being the input to the nozzle. This one using a center point rectangle drawn from the center point of the circle, which was then dimensioned in X and Y to suit what I had measured underneath the carvera. Having this many sketches for this nozzle isn't actually required. I'm just trying to make it visually clearer which section we're working on. The loft tool is found in the upper left, just near extrude, and we need to input our two sketches that we want to blend into each other. But the trouble is, as soon as we do, we can see Onshape is having trouble matching the two together. And that's because our shape on top, the rectangle, has 4 corners, but our circle underneath has 0. Let's cancel the loft and complete an easy solution by modifying the circle sketch. We want 4 vertices, so let's draw a center point rectangle, pressing Q to toggle construction, and then snapping it to the perimeter of the circle. We'll then press E for the equals constraint and make our rectangle a square by clicking on the horizontal and vertical line. And we can now see the circle has 4 points on the perimeter, and that will be enough for us to successfully loft. So let's reselect that tool. Now initially it looks like nothing has changed, but because of those added vertices, we now have an additional option. In the Loft UI, we can come over and tick connections. And now all we have to do is click a point from each of the 2D profiles that we would like matched. And doing this here produces exactly the result we were after. Now this junction is pretty abrupt, but if we come to start profile condition and set it to normal to profile, we'll see that for the top, it's trying to create a smoother transition. Setting the end profile to the same setting will give us a smooth transition from either side. And you might like to experiment with the magnitude value to further alter how smooth or abrupt that transition is. You can either make the number bigger or make it less than 1. Simply experiment until the shape appears as you desire. When you're happy, click the tick to finish the loft, And then to finish the shape, we just do a simple extrude, just clicking on the end surface of the loft and extending it as far as you need. Obviously, I'm going to match what I planned with this earlier sketch. And we do exactly the same thing down the bottom. And I just want to put a slight angle on this lip before I hollow it out. Rather than draw a sketch on the side and cut through, we'll do it a little bit differently. A tool that can angle an existing surface is called draft. Selecting an adjacent face as the neutral plane, an entity to draft being this top one, I'll reverse the direction and 20 degrees I think will be fine. Everything from here we've already done. We're going to select the shell tool and then select the top and bottom surfaces to hollow out, and then set our shell thickness to whatever we were planning in our initial sketch. And with that, we have a custom vacuum cleaner nozzle to suit our particular situation. Now I confess on this one I made two mistakes. I was running low on black TPU, so I didn't make the nozzle as long as I would have wanted. But more importantly, I got the thickness measurement a little bit off. So while it does fit underneath this CNC machine, it's only just, and I should have made it a millimeter or so thinner. Now that example I just showed was quite vanilla, and using a simple loft you can really make any shapes that you need. It's just a matter of drawing two base shapes, and for the second one, most likely creating a plane, which if needed can be on an angle compared to the first one. And that allows us to make custom nozzles that go around corners if required. Now I can't be the only maker with a drawer full of PTFE tube and a lot of it being short, otherwise useless pieces. So let's make a custom nozzle to use some of these up. Alright, this one's a little unusual, but it's actually quite simple to model if a little repetitive. We're going to start with a sketch on the top plane. We'll start by drawing a circle on the outside with a construction line, dimension to 35 millimeters, and this is going to act as a guide. Now we start with a circle in the middle that will be the start of many, and this will have a diameter of 4 millimeters to match our PTFE tube. We also need a second circle inside, dimensions to something like 3.2 millimeters, and this will act as a stopper to prevent the tube from pushing the whole way through the hole. We want more of these circle holes radiating outwards, and the first one I'm going to start a hexagon, press Q to make it construction, and then draw a pair of circles on each of its corners, and then using the equal constraints to make all of the new outer circles equal with the original outer circle, and then repeat the same for the inner circle. From here I'll drag the hexagon until it appears how I want, and then lock down the final size by adding a dimension. For my next round I'm going to draw a vertical construction line and draw a pair of circles coming from the center of that. Once again using the equals constraint to get them to match. I'll dimension the construction line to get the spacing how I like the look of, and then we're going to come up to the top toolbar and select circular pattern as a way to make this radiate around. We click on the two circles, double click on the 3x and change it to 6x. From here we left click in space to finalize the pattern, and now we run into an Onshape quirk. We can see that the pattern is blue and that means it's unconstrained, but if we click and drag one of our patterned circles, the center point for the pattern will appear. We can then select the coincident constraint and then snap it back to that origin to get everything properly constrained. I want one more set of circles radiating outwards, so again I'm going to do a construction line, draw the two circles on the end, and use constraints to get the diameter to match everything we've done so far. The coincident constraint can snap this into position by matching it to the hexagon. We dimension the length from the center and then do another circular pattern to get our new circle all the way around the outside. There's still space, so I'm going to keep going. The more the merrier, and I think I can do a pair of circles this time. So I add them and once again use constraints to get them equal in diameter to all of the other circles. This time I'm going to mirror my new circle to the other side of the center line. I can then position them and add dimensions to get their final position. And then we can use a circular pattern one more time to spread them all around the surface. If anyone knows a good feature script to save all of this effort, please post it in the comment section. To finish this sketch, all we need is one more circle going around the outside to contain everything else. That's most of the hard work done, and we're going to have two extrudes. The first going down vertically around 15 millimeters, and for this we only want the area in between all of the circles. We then want a second extrude, except going in the opposite direction, and this time we need that same area as well as the gap between all of the circle pairs, and that one only needs to be around 1 millimeter. So we have our lip on the inside to catch the tube, but that's not going to like printing in midair, so rather than use support material, let's add a little chamfer. This step, once again, is easy, just repetitive. But once they're all in place, we can now print this without any support material. Each bore now has a little chamfer, so it no longer needs support. The rest of the shape is just a repeat of what we've done already. We'll offset a plane, and then in the center of that, draw the circle that's going to plug onto our aluminium adapter. We'll add a loft to go between the two, but the only difference here is we're going to make sure it's new instead of added. Just like our earlier examples, we'll then extrude the top face to extend it, hollow out this new section, matching the wall thickness that we said earlier, and then use a Boolean union to add these two halves together. And once we've done that, our special nozzle is complete. After this was printed, I segmented up a bunch of spare PTFE tube, all to the same length, and started trying to press the tube lengths into the holes that we had modeled. This proved to be quite a difficult job, as the tube just wanted to buckle and bend instead of go into the hole. So I quickly modeled up this helper piece to be printed from rigid filament. This made the job incredibly easy by comparison. You simply put the PTFE tube in the whole way, it keeps it pretty rigid, and you squish it into the hole until it reaches the end. This looks pretty gnarly when it's done, and it's surprisingly heavy from all of the added tube. To tidy it up, I did consider putting around a rubber band and then using a blade to cut all of the tips flush. So what is this actually for? Well, here's an exaggerated example. When you've got a bunch of small components surrounded by dust, sand and dirt, and you don't want to pull them all out to vacuum the bottom. This vacuum head will suck up all of the small bits of debris, but none of the individual tubes will be strong enough to attach to any of the larger objects. Ideally, when you make this, you'll use 4mm tube but with a larger bore, and that should stop any larger elements of sand clogging up the PTFE tube, although it's not too bad to suck these out with the vacuum and another nozzle. For our last head, we're going to try and emulate a brush attachment, and we won't be able to do anything as fine as the brush, but we should be able to make a movable section that articulates and stir up dust so it can be vacuumed away. Now the CAD for this is remarkably simple. We're going to start with our usual sketch, but added to that sketch is going to be a line that we're going to use to generate a plane on an angle. Inside the plane tool, we're going to change it from offset to line angle, and then select that line that we added to our sketch. We can now drag the arrow or type in an exact value to get the plane on the angle that we would like. This plane will then be used as the basis for a sketch that will become the opening where everything gets sucked in. And in hindsight, if you feel that the position of that sketch isn't quite right, you can very easily go back and edit the dimensions in the first sketch to move its position. From here, it's another loft between the two, changing the end conditions to get a smooth junction, and then extending either side with a simple extrusion from the flat surfaces. Like always, we finish by hollowing out the shape, and this one needs less wall thickness than the others. I went for 2mm, which turned out really well. Another great property of TPU, and one of the reasons I picked it, is that the strength between layers is very strong, which means we can take some scissors and cut slots into it like you're seeing here, and unlike most other filaments, even with these tiny segments, they won't disintegrate even when flexed, giving us the action that we wanted. It's not as good as a brush, but not bad overall. And there we have it. Using a pretty limited amount of tools in CAD, we can create this range of custom vacuum cleaner nozzles to suit our needs. Let me know in the comments any custom ones you've made or are planning to make now that you've seen this video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy 3D printing custom solutions you just can't buy. G'day, it's Michael again. If you like the video, then please click like. If you want to see more content like this in future, click subscribe and make sure you click on the bell to receive every notification. If you really want to support the channel and see exclusive content, become a patron. Visit my Patreon page. See you next time.